Donald Trump this week has picked the man he would like to be his vice president, J.D. Vance, who has said in the past that he doesn't really care what happens in Ukraine one way or another. What do you make of those remarks?
Maybe he really doesn't understand what goes on in Ukraine. So for us, we have to work with the United States. And if new team will come, we have to work with them. We need their support.
Hard work, I guess.
Hard work.
Could be hard work to persuade
yes,
them.
But we don't afraid of hard work.
My, how the tables have turned and how the tones have shifted. President Zelensky of Ukraine, famous for his sweaters and his talent for licking DNC boots while deriding Trump, has changed his tune. Vladimir Zelensky seems suddenly very willing to work with President Trump. He extended well wishes after President Trump was shot, and afterwards they talked and had, this time, a perfect call. President Trump has stated he wants to get a deal done fast and have peace in that region. Zelensky said he is more than willing to work with Trump and will work hard to develop a relationship. Trump isn't president yet, so why the change? Zelensky has not even discussed a possibility of working with a President Harris, at least at this moment. Is he being genuine to Trump, or does he just hope for another check? Our next guest knows a thing or two about Ukrainian politics and Ukraine's cozy relationship with Democrats. But before we toss over to him, I must clarify something. Andrii Telizhenko, our guest, is a former diplomat. He is a sanctioned individual by the U.S. Treasury Department for alleged ties to Russia. Telizhenko consulted for a Biden-tied lobbying firm called Blue Star Strategies. You may remember my reporting on that story. That was a firm famous for running into trouble with the DOJ when Telizhenko helped blow the whistle on their illegal foreign activities on behalf of Ukraine and the Biden family. But once the DOJ got involved and the Biden family was jeopardized, the Blue Star Strategies folks had their names cleared. In an unprecedented move, the DOJ allowed for Blue Star to retroactively file for foreign agent status, thereby clearing the investigation. And then, of course, in the last few days of Trump White House, I looked up to see they had added Telizhenko's name to a list of sanctioned individuals. So as a journalist, I'm allowed to talk to Telizhenko. I believe he has valuable information, and I also believe he was wrongly sanctioned. He joins us now. Andrii, welcome back.
Thank you, Chanel, for having me back on the show, and congratulations on the new show, and hope everything goes well and the truth will prevail, because you are the truth digger and America needs people and journalists like you.
Well, thank you, Andrii. I'm glad to have you back on the program, and I had to remind our audience, because it's so easy to forget the nuances of not only your story, which ties into the Biden corruption narrative in Ukraine, but it just gets so tangled with all of these closed investigations and these ways of shutting down conversation by saying that someone's sanctioned or someone's not allowed to speak to the U.S. officials. But Andrii, we've discussed this before. Share with our audience the reason why the U.S. Treasury Department sanctioned you back in 2019, 2020?
2020, yes, and they sanctioned me for political reasons. It's not a court where you can present evidence and then there's a judge decides or somebody decides you're afraid. It's just a political decision by the government without any evidence to put you on a stand and basically put sanctions on you and destroy your life. That's what they did. They sanctioned me for coming up with the truth on Hunter Biden, on Blue Star Strategies, on speaking to the Senate, Senator Johnson, Senator Grassley's committee, when they investigated Hunter Biden's dealings in Ukraine, for helping the mayor of New York, Rudy Giuliani, who dug for the truth and was, I think, also set up with all the situation with the Russia hoax story and getting run after for political reasons. So this is why we were sanctioned. I was sanctioned. Why Rudy Giuliani is being followed by the Department of Justice for political reasons, and why President Trump is also being, or candidate President Trump at this time, is also being prosecuted for political reasons for going after Biden and their family and for dealings in Ukraine.
No, I mean, all that I can affirm because I was there to watch a lot of that go down. Allegedly, you've been sanctioned. I talked to my sources in the State Department, in the outgoing Trump administration, at the Treasury Department, and allegedly they say that you were sanctioned for your ties to a Ukrainian politician who had Russian sympathies. It's a man I've interviewed before, Andrii Durkov, and I agree with them. I believe he does have Russian ties, but they say that sanction was grounded in your relationship with Durkov. But I can affirm, as a firsthand witness, you walked out of the room. You refused to meet with Durkov back when we were in Ukraine, when we were interviewing these people, part of this Russia hoax investigation. You had nothing to do with Durkov, and I remember that. I remember watching that.
Yes, I never met that person before in my life who they allegedly connected me to, and I always tell when I come up on stage or do an interview, I tell the Treasury Department, I dare them come up with the evidence they have on me connecting me to Durkov or anything else they're smearing me off. So they have nothing on me in connection with Durkov, and you saw it. First of all, second of all, I think Durkov was a setup to destroy our investigation and our evidence that we were fighting for to get through the Senate, through Rudy Giuliani, and it was a setup with the Department of Justice, with people like Buma agents who came out and worked with the Democrats last year to destroy the investigation that Rudy Giuliani was doing, to destroy people and witnesses like me, and to put Durkov, a person with Russia connections, right into the heart of a team that was fighting and getting evidence on Hunter Biden and connecting that team to Russia. So that's what I believe what happened. And I think the future administration needs to answer that question because it was a smear campaign by the FBI and the Department of Justice. And they are names that already we talked about connected to the FBI that we can bring up and put things together. And the evidence will show that this was operation by the FBI.
Yeah. No, I, for one, I'm not alone when I say, as an investigative journalist who studied your story, who has watched the scene, I'm not alone when I say that I believe that Biden DOJ targeted you in order to shut down the evidence that you had. And I say that saying there are investigative journalists on the left who believe that too. So now that we've talked about that, I wanted to get your take on Ukraine's shifting tone regarding Trump going into an election where I have yet to hear a conversation happening between Zelensky and Vice President Harris at this point.
Yeah, the Ukrainian government, we have to understand who Zelensky is. The Kiev regime, I call them, because what they're doing to Ukraine is just heartbreaking. We remember how Zelensky acted when he became the president of Ukraine and how Yermak, his right-hand man, basically the vice president of Ukraine today, promised Rudy Giuliani to investigate the Biden corruption in Ukraine and do it fairly to the Ukrainian authorities. And he didn't do anything. He went to the other side. Zelensky promised Trump that there will be an investigation into foreign corruption in Ukraine. One of them was also American corruption in Ukraine. And he did nothing. He went to the other side. So we remember all those talks and how Zelensky promised to help the Trump campaign and the Trump presidency. And then he didn't do anything. So today, they're doing the same thing. They're trying to shift and play the game to get more money, to stay afloat. That's their deal. That's the only thing what Zelensky needs.
It's a very calculated decision, though, that Zelensky's camp seems to have made for them to have had this publicized conversation with candidate Trump and still not to have had some kind of official conversation with Harris at this point in the election season. I'm sure that's bound to change. I'm sure he's going to pick up the phone and talk to Harris's camp, but at this moment, that hasn't happened.
Yermak already spoke to the National Security Advisor of Harris just 2 weeks ago. So right after the conversation with Zelensky and the President candidate Donald Trump, Yermak, basically the guy who controls Ukraine today, the head of the presidential administration, spoke to Harris's team already. Zelensky is waiting for Harris to be confirmed on the DNC convention, and then afterwards he's going to pick up the phone and talking to her directly on this matter. So they are playing by the rules today to show that they are not trying to intervene in anybody's elections or not showing support to any of the candidates, but they are there to get more money. They're there to continue this war. They don't want to stop the war. Zelensky does not want to stop this war because the people who control Zelensky and coordinate his work in Ukraine are out of not only in the White House, the Biden White House, and Sullivan and Biden, all those crowd, but the military-industrial complex in the United States who want to make more money on this war. That's the end game and all this. And Zelensky promised them, and they promised him that he is going to stay in power until he continues that rhetoric.
Andrii, what does a peace deal actually look like if Trump were to take office and suddenly the dynamics have changed, the money flow has changed? What does a peace deal look like between Ukraine and Russia?
A peace deal could have been, we could have had a peace deal 3 years ago on the Minsk Accords and got Donbass back without the mass casualties that we have today. Over 700,000 dead, from what I understand, is out there. And we could have had that. Then we had Istanbul. We could have had the peace deal then. We could have had Donbass back on that terms, or at least part of the Donbass area. Today, unfortunately, the peace deal sounds that Ukraine is going to lose its territories. Ukraine cannot fight a nuclear country. It's going to be World War III. We could have had it before. We could have had our territories back. Today, we have to just go by the flow of what is happening there. But before any peace deal starts, and President Trump starts negotiating with Russia and Zelensky and China and Europe on the ground there, we have to have the deep state and the Central Intelligence Agency get all their men out of there, all their advisors, all their pro-Soros advisors out of Ukraine, so this peace deal will not be sabotaged. And this is what I'm talking for the last couple of weeks. Because if we start a peace deal, negotiations, what they're going to do, the deep state, they're going to do a coup in Ukraine. They're going to change Zelensky to Poroshenko or to Klitschko or to Zaluzhny. And then those guys are going to come out and say, we don't want a peace deal under Trump. Trump is sabotaging and working for Russia. They're going to announce that. And they're going to basically stop all the peace deal and continue this war. And that's why we need to get all the deep state officials, all their crowd, out of Ukraine, and then start the negotiations. Leave the embassies, leave the official representatives there, but all the advisors who are on the ground and continue to push this war, before Trump even pick up the phone to tell Moscow, they have to be out of there. And that has to be the first order of the President of the United States.
Yeah, no, President Trump has made it clear he is going to clean house diplomatically, and that's not a popular message right now to those who have worked behind the scenes over there. So, Andrii Telizhenko, it's a pleasure to have caught up with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chanel. God bless, and hope peace and truth will prevail.
Take care. We'll talk to you soon. Patriot, conservative, activists, or just a good old traditional family, we all have one thing in common. We all need basic essentials like toothpaste, face wash, deodorant, laundry detergent. And when you purchase these things through Public Square, you're actively supporting American small businesses. Public Square makes this even easier by carefully curating for quality, meaning you get the best products for your family and your health. That means no hidden chemicals, no sneaky political ideologies, and no hormone disruptors. So even if it feels like the world is falling apart around us, we can always refocus on our families, our homes, and the products that make us feel our best. And when you shop at Public Square, you get all of that, plus the peace of mind that can only come from staying true to what matters most. So let's get back to basics. Visit publicsquare.com.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.